Fellow Necromancers, are you tired of using the same build again and again? Well, I got you covered. In this video, we are covering a build that is super fast, has big damage, and it is effortless. Basically, the three qualities which you need for any farming build to work. And most importantly, I have even tested this build in Terror Rifts, Oblivion Pillars, Hellslayer Bounties, where the monsters are a bit tanky and take a little longer to die, and it works really great in those game modes as well. This build has that feel-good factor that you would want from a farming build, and it is effortless. So if you like the contents of the channel, make sure to like and subscribe. And now let's get into the build. So for this build, we are using Wraith Form as our movement ability, and we are using the Pants Essence, which gives us 50% movement speed, and it also makes us able to move unhindered through enemies. And that is the feel good factor of this particular build, this particular essence. And it is very addictive because once you start using this pants, I don't think so you would want to use anything else, because like you can see, now I'm in Wraith Form and I can move super fast. And it has zero downtime, so you will always be moving super fast. This is just like Barbarian Sprint, to be honest. That was all about movement, and now we move to damage. For damage, we have the Grim Scythe and we have the Bone Armor. These are two projectiles that are going to revolve around you, and these do decent damage. But these not only do damage, they are also going to buff your overall damage. What I mean is that let's check out the essences which we are using. For the Bone Armor, we are using the Armor Essence, which basically summons 3 bone spikes that orbit you. And for the Grim Scythe, we are using the Grim Scythe, which basically a whirling scythe that orbits you. So these are the two essences which we are using for these particular skills. But what increases our damage is the Helmet Essence, which basically is an armor break from Grim Scythe. So whenever the Grim Scythe touches an enemy, they will take more damage. So this is going to increase the base damage. And from the shoulders, we are using, while Bone Armor is active, it is also increasing your critical hit damage. So these two things are going to buff your damage a lot. By the way, sorry you guys have to see my messed up inventory. That is because I like to test a lot of things, different types of set items. That's why most of the time these set items are out of my stash and in my inventory. Anyway, moving along. Finally, we have the Corpse Lance. For Corpse Lance, we are using Departed Appetite. Basically, this is going to make a lance, basically a vortex of lance around you. So to use a Corpse Lance, you need corpses around you, right? That is the only way to use Corpse Lance. So how are you going to get those corpses? Basically, if you see this Grim Scythe, whenever this Grim Scythe is going to damage, basically when the circular Grim is going to touch any enemy, it is going to generate corpse. Even the Wraith Form, when you move and you pass through an enemy, that is also going to generate corpse. So I never found it difficult to use this particular corpse stance because there was always corpses around me when I'm using these two essences along with this in this build. So basically, the best part about this build is that all of the skills that I'm using, it has zero downtime. All the time these projectiles are going to be up and it is going to be surrounding you, right? For the set items, I'm using 2 pieces of Vithus. This is very important for the full uptime of those projectiles, and I'm also using 4 pieces of Banquet. This is going to give you critical hit chance, and you know the critical hit damage is already buffed from our shoulder essence, right? So that's how we are going to get damage from this particular build. Now for the last 2 pieces of set item, either you can go with anything. You can go with Grace, you can even choose 6 pieces of Banquet. This even feels good. Or you can go with 4 pieces of Vithus, but keep in mind the Vithus is not going to increase the speed of those projectiles around you. It only increases your attack speed. Hence, if you are using primary attack, then only it is going to be beneficial. Now, ideally, you are not going to use primary attack. You are just going to spam your 4 skills and just move along. But you can use this when you are basically going for tougher fights, bosses and all. And for the primary attack, you can either use Bone Spear or Soul Fire. There are 2 essences for this. Basically choose any one. I personally prefer Bone Spear because the AoE damage is covered by my projectiles, and if I need a single target, I think the Bone Spikes will work better in this build. Now let's check out the rotation. There is one small trick in this build which is going to highly impact how you feel about this build. And you start with the Wraith form, the Grim Scythe and the Bone Armor, right? You just start with them, and let's see, yeah, and then you use the Corpse Lance. Basically, usually what do we do is we spam all the 4 skills before we engage with a mob. Here we are using Corpse Lance after we engage with the mobs. So basically that is how you start. But as once you started, you will always find corpses to basically use the Corpse Lance, and it is going to be super easy, right? Here is some gameplay footage from my Terra Rift run. You can see there are some elites that are also there and the normal mobs. I'm not taking much time to defeat them, and since there are so many projectiles, the AoE damage is huge, a lot of damage and to a lot of targets at the same time. Plus I'm moving very fast. Now even when there is the boss spawn, when we are doing the pillars, all the mobs are taken care of very fast. And when the main boss arrives, even then the damage is pretty good for the boss, because we have the armor break and we also have crit chance and crit damage, right? So all 3 things work together very well. Before I forget, I'm using the Paragon for farming. I'm using the Paragon Vanquisher obviously to get the high the treasure find, to get basically better materials. But you can definitely switch to Slinger when you are doing Terror Rifts and other game modes like that. So that was the entire build. I hope you will like this build. I'm not saying that this is like a brand new build. This build might have been tried out by some other necromancers as well, but personally I found this build to be very fast, because you don't have to wait for your summons to do the damage, or the other corpse lance where the lances come out from the corpses and target various enemies nearby. In that also your attack speed is not that high, but I think this one has even much more faster farming capabilities than the other 2 builds. By the way, I did make a video about a universal build for Necromancer in my channel. If you haven't checked that out, feel free to check that out. And very soon I'm also working on a high DPS type of build, single target build, primary attack builds for dungeons, for raids, Although Necromancer is not the top tier class in Battlegrounds right now, but I'm still enjoying this class a lot. It has a lot of quality of life features, like easy farming, easy dungeon, high damage, high mobility. That's why the overall feel of the class is very good. I'm thoroughly enjoying it, and hence I'm deep diving it into more and more skills, checking out how all the different types of things work. So I hope you like this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.